It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes.
I imagine you've heard by now that all things did not go too well. It was actually my second time over the North Vietnam beach. It was just about the same place I'd been the day before and hadn't seen anything, didn't see anything this time either. But, well, anyway, I'll pretty much just tell you about the whole flight. We took off, there was 3 of us. J.C. Brandy, Jim Bowen, and the lead, Eric and I, number 2, and Loke Lynch and Jay Hall, number 3. We took off, rendezvous, and got all checked in on the various frequencies and everything, and then headed on in. And we went in at around 8,000 feet or so. There was a 10,000-foot cloud layer. And as we went in, of course we were drinking around a little bit and everything, but we didn't see anything at all. And we were only about, I suppose, 5-7 miles inland, and we picked up the target. JC rolled in, and we rolled in right behind him, and Loke stayed off a little high and rolled in after we were off. And I looked back and I saw some flashes, but I'm pretty sure they were our bombs going off. And we got the target and everything, but just as we were pulling off, I heard the great big ka-wump. So I reached down for the chaff button, was going to shove some extra chaff out. Well, I did that, the lights were out, so I looked back and the doors were only about half open, so I asked Eric to check the utility hydraulics, and we'd already lost them. And the throttles were stuck at full military power. That's full power, that afterburner. So we were starting to move out pretty good. And he had kind of sloppy stick control and everything. So we told JC that we were hit, and we started back towards the beach. And just about the time that we got to the beach, Eric lost all stick control at all. All he had was the manual rudder, and that's what he was keeping wings level with. So a couple miles out over the water, we heard the second big ka-wump, and JC reported that we just lost a wing tour. So, well, there wasn't anything to do about that, but Eric told me that we're probably going to have to get out of it because the throttle's stuck at mill, and we just can't do anything with it really. So we kept flying along, and we got about, I suppose, between 5 and 10 miles out over the water, and he lost everything. And he says, "Oh, I just lost everything." "Oh, I'm afraid that's about it. Looks like we're going to have to jump out." Eject, Bill, go ahead and eject. So I did. At the time we ejected, we were going somewhere between 500 and 550 knots, which is in the very upper extremes of the seat limitations. So when I ejected, it felt like I ran into a brick wall almost. We were below 9,000, so the seat didn't have any built-in delay. And I was all huddled up and everything in the seat. Of course, when I went out, I pulled the face curtain, I got out in the air, and it just opened me up like a clam, and arms and legs went sprawling everywhere in about the same time, and then the chute opened. And almost before I knew what would happen, I was hanging there under the chute, and knew right away that, I don't know how, I just knew that I had a broken right arm. And so anyway, this was still at around between 9,000 and 10,000 feet. So I was hanging there and started my descent. I looked for my radio first, and that was gone along with the pocket. It just completely ripped off. And I decided I'd go ahead and get my oxygen mask off. It felt kind of funny, and so I got off one side of it and looked. The mask was still there, but the hose that leads to it and everything was just completely gone. I guess on the force of ejection that just left, so that wouldn't do me any good. So I tossed that off and watched it fall about 50 feet and decided I wouldn't watch it much more. All the way down I had to fight unconsciousness. It was just all I could do to stay conscious. I was tending to black out all the time. But I managed to remain conscious, and next thing I did was to start looking for my flare gun. Well, I found the pencil flare gun wrapped around my neck and really couldn't get to it. So I popped my Mark III life preserver on the left side. I couldn't get to the right side because of my arm. Nor could I deploy my seat pan with my raft and everything in it, because it's on the right side and I couldn't do anything with my right arm at all. So that's pretty much how it was. I could hear the other F-4 still cruising around above me, watching me descend. And my helmet was still on. Well, the visor was broken pretty badly, and my glasses, of course, were gone. Lost 3 pair of glasses, a pair of flight glasses, a pair of prescription sunglasses, and a pair of regular glasses, but they can be replaced, I guess, as can the 2 auto light pencils. But anyway, so by this time I was almost down to the water. Contrary to what they always say, you can tell when you're going to hit. And it took me between 5 and 6 minutes to descend through this 9,000 to 10,000 feet, which is a long time. Anyway, when I hit the water, I took a big breath of air and held it, and consequently didn't take on any water. As I was in the water, I managed to get the other side of the Mark III Charlie life preserver inflated, and got one of the other flares out of the Mark III come in it. And about this time I heard the helo go over. He was there already, and I got rid of my parachute. And then took and opened one of the smoke flares. It's kind of a metal ring pull-top thing. I opened that with my teeth, and then used the other end to pull it out. Good old strong ice-crunching teeth. And then, of course, it was the wrong end. I got the night flare instead. They said they could see that, but I saw I got it, so I let it burn for a couple seconds and doused it, and put it out, and put on the day smoke flare, which is bright orange, and that really showed up. So that worked real well, and the helo was there within just a few minutes, so I was basically in the water less than 5 minutes. So anyway, the helo, which was a SH-3, they call him a Big Mother, and it was from working with South SAR, which was the USS Jewett. Anyway, they got me to the Jewett, and they took me down in their medical room and examined me and answered a bunch of questions for them and told them basically what happened. And then they say they gave me a shot of morphine and straightened my arm out enough to where I got circulation back in it. Put me in kind of a metal type stretcher and covered me up with a blanket and took me back up and put me in the helo and headed back for America again. Okay, so anyway, we got here to America, and the skipper was there, almost like a pallbearer. He was there to help carry the stretcher down here to sickbay and everything. He stayed with me a good bit of the time. I had not really heard, well, I heard a little bit, of course, but it's not all that bad. But just the idea of it, I just don't have any idea why it happened. We had full radio communications all the time, and I don't know, I thought he was ready to get out right after me. Evidently something went wrong. I guess they reported some fire on our aircraft just about the time I got out. So I don't know if maybe it got there quick enough that it burned part of his ejection system or what. I just don't know, and nobody does. But of course I could have punched him out by turning the little extra handle, but I think I was right in not doing that because the speed we were going. If I'd punched him out when he wasn't ready, it probably would have killed him anyway. But that's just something I guess you don't do unless it's kind of a prearranged deal, and we had always decided that pretty much we'd go out separately. Anyway, it just I don't know, it seems like the whole squadron has just changed a little bit. Everybody, I think, realizes now that it's not a game we're playing over here, that it's kind of for real, and that they shoot back.